Have you noticed it, that feeling in the air? This growing tension between parents and teachers? It's supposed to be a partnership, right? But lately, it feels a lot more like a battlefield. Okay, let's get into it and figure out what is really going on behind the classroom door. So to really get this, we have to look at how much the game has changed. I mean, think about it. In the past, teachers, they were respected authorities, trusted professionals, sometimes even a moral guide. But today, wow, that picture has totally flipped. Now, they're often seen as just service providers, people you have to monitor in a relationship that feels more like a transaction. It's a huge shift from trust to suspicion. So what on earth changed? How did we get from a partnership that was built on respect to a relationship that feels more like a customer service hotline? Well, the reasons run deep, and they tell us a whole lot about our modern world. All right, the first piece of the puzzle is something called power reversal. Traditionally, the teacher had all the power, right? They gave the grades, they made the call. But now, with things like social media, parent group chats, and official complaint channels, parents and students feel like they have the power to grade the teacher. And this quote just nails that feeling. It's this inner voice that says, you know what? I'm not powerless anymore. I can make the teacher accountable. This isn't just about fixing one problem. It's about taking back a sense of control in a system where parents used to have very little say. Okay, reason number 2 is a bit different. It actually has roots in demographics. We're talking about overprotection. See, with lower birth rates these days, a lot of parents are pouring all their hopes, dreams, and anxieties into a single child. So when that child struggles or gets criticized, this fierce protective instinct just goes into overdrive. And the emotional logic immediately kicks in. My child should not be treated unfairly. If something went wrong, it has to be the teacher's fault. It's this powerful, almost knee-jerk reaction where all that parental worry gets channeled directly into blame. The mission is to protect the child, no matter what. And that leads us right into our third point, a parent's own sense of self-worth. In this super competitive society we live in, a kid's success is often seen as a direct report card on your parenting. So when a teacher brings up a problem with your child, it can feel less like feedback and more like a personal attack on you as a parent. Now check out the hidden logic here, because it's fascinating. Complaining becomes a shield. The thought process is basically, if my child's not doing well, it's because the teacher isn't good at their job, not because I've failed as a parent. It's a way to shift the blame to protect your own ego. Now, layered on top of all this psychology is a huge shift in how we see education itself. I'm talking about the rise of the consumer mindset. When parents are paying high taxes or private school tuition, they start to see themselves less as partners and more as customers buying a product. And that leads directly to this kind of attitude. Hey, I pay for this school, so you better treat my child the way I expect. The relationship is no longer about cooperation. It's transactional. And customer satisfaction is demanded. And of course, we absolutely have to talk about the huge role social media plays in all of this. It's a public stage for complaints, where one angry post can spread like wildfire. But it's not always just about solving a problem. Sometimes it's about playing a role for an audience. A lot of the time, the motivation is something called moral signaling. The unspoken thought is, by speaking out online, I show everyone that I'm a good and protective parent. The complaint becomes a public performance, a way to get likes and validation from other people.
But hey, it's not just the parents. Students are a huge part of this dynamic too. When you're facing stress at school or you get in trouble, it's often a lot easier to point the finger at someone else than it is to look at yourself.
And the classic defense is, it's not my fault. The teacher was unfair. By seeing themselves as the victim, students can protect their own self-esteem and, avoid taking responsibility for their own actions or struggles. So finally, let's zoom all the way out. This whole thing isn't just happening in schools. We are living in an age where we're skeptical of all kinds of authority. Doctors, politicians, scientists, and yep, teachers too. Professional expertise just doesn't get the automatic trust it once did. So the default setting has completely flipped. It used to be trust, now it's suspicion. The new default is teachers aren't automatically right. I have to keep an eye on them. They're seen less as trusted experts and more as people who need constant oversight. Okay, so we've unraveled all these complex reasons, from power flips to our deepest anxieties. But this isn't just theory. This stuff has real serious consequences. So what's the actual damage here? What is the high cost of all this mistrust? Well, the result is simple.
and it's devastating. The entire system starts to break. This isn't some minor disagreement we're talking about. It's a fundamental breakdown that hurts absolutely everyone. Just think about the chain reaction. You get massive teacher burnout and resignations. Classrooms become tense and disconnected because teachers are scared to enforce rules. Students learn that blaming others is the way to go instead of taking responsibility. The whole idea of a parent-teacher partnership, it just collapses. And in the end, trust in the entire education system crumbles. It's a really vicious cycle.
But look, it doesn't have to be this way. It's a tough problem, for sure, but it's not hopeless. If we can understand what's broken, we can start to figure out how to fix it. So how do we begin to rebuild that essential trust? Here's a possible roadmap with 5 key steps. First step, we have to rebuild trust with super clear communication. Schools need to have transparent policies so everyone knows the right way to raise an issue, which stops small problems from blowing up. Second, we could offer parent education. Now, this isn't about blaming parents. It's about giving them tools to manage their anxiety and work with the school as a team. Third, we absolutely must create better support systems for our teachers. We're talking counseling, legal resources, the whole thing, so they don't burn out. Fourth, we need to promote media literacy. This helps everyone, parents and students, see the difference between having a constructive conversation and just shaming someone online. And finally, we have to establish fair and objective complaint procedures. If everyone trusts that the process is just, it restores faith in the whole system. So as we wrap this up, it's really tempting to just point fingers and blame bad parents or bad teachers. But if we do that, we're missing the real story here. There's something much, much deeper going on. And here's the most important takeaway. This conflict isn't really between people at all. It's a symptom. It's a symptom of a whole society that is wrestling with huge amounts of anxiety, distrust, and insecurity. The classroom has just become the place where all those bigger fears play out. Which leaves all of us with one really big question. Knowing that this isn't about individual people failing, but about all of us dealing with these shared pressures, can we learn how to be partners again instead of opponents? Because really, the future of our classrooms depends on it.